Life has a way of making us question almost everything: our plans, our dreams, even our own hearts. But when God sends someone to walk with you, to stand with you, and to love you, something deep inside just knows. There's a kind of peace that doesn't make sense on paper. It's not the kind you find when everything is easy, when life is lining up perfectly, or when every prayer has already been answered. No, this peace shows up in the middle of uncertainty. It's a quiet, steady assurance that settles deep in your spirit, even when the road ahead isn't clear. And when God sends someone into your life to walk beside you, this peace is one of the first things that quietly marks their presence. When you're with the person God has for you, you don't feel like you have to constantly perform or prove your worth. There's a resting and exhale you didn't even know you were holding in. Conversations don't feel like negotiations. Silence isn't awkward. You're not afraid of showing your real self, your dreams, your doubts, even the messy parts you usually try to hide. Somehow, being seen doesn't scare you. It frees you. It's not that there's no tension or disagreement. It's not that you'll see every decision the same way. But even when conflict arises, there's this underlying safety that says, we're not fighting against each other, we're fighting for each other. You don't have to wonder where you stand. You don't have to chase reassurance every day. Their actions and words create a space where trust can grow without fear. This peace isn't built overnight. It's layered moment by moment in how they listen when you're vulnerable, and how they stay even when it would be easier to walk away. It's in how they pray for you when you're too tired to pray for yourself. It's how they celebrate your victories like their own and grieve your losses with a tenderness that doesn't try to fix, but simply stays near. That kind of peace, that kind of presence can only come from someone sent by God. There's also something powerful about how this peace touches your relationship with God Himself. Being with the right person doesn't pull you away from Him, it pulls you closer. You're not struggling to fit God into the picture. He is the picture. There's a unity in spirit that goes deeper than shared beliefs. It's a shared pursuit of God, a mutual hunger for His will to be done more than your own plans. When God writes a love story, it won't be driven by anxiety. It won't be fueled by games, confusion, or constant fear of losing it. His love stories are anchored in peace, a peace that protects, a peace that endures, a peace that allows you to step forward even when the path ahead is unknown, because you know who's walking beside you. You realize the relationship itself is not the source of peace. It's a reflection of it. The real source is God. But when He brings two people together according to His purpose, the peace He plants inside you will find an echo in the one He's given you. And together, you'll walk with a confidence that doesn't have to shout to be sure. It just knows. When God brings someone into your life to walk with you, it's not just about how you feel around them. It's about where you're going together. Purpose alignment isn't about having identical dreams or a carbon copy of your plans. It's about two different lives, two different stories being woven together into something even greater. It's the realization that your individual callings don't compete, they complete. You start to notice it in the small things first. Conversations about the future aren't filled with tension or hidden agendas. You're not dragging them toward your vision, and they're not pulling you away from yours. Instead, it feels like you're both naturally leaning toward the same horizon, even if you're carrying different gifts, different passions, different experiences. You want the same things at the core: to honor God, to serve people, to live lives of meaning and impact. And somehow your strengths start to fit where their weaknesses lie, and their passions light fires in areas you hadn't even noticed before. When purpose aligns, you stop feeling like you have to shrink to fit into their world. You're not an accessory to their calling, and they're not a background character in yours. You're partners, co-builders, co-laborers in something bigger than yourselves. Their victories feel like your own, not because you're trying to be supportive, but because you're deeply invested in what God is doing through them, and they feel the same way about you. There's also a deep sense of freedom and aligned purpose. You don't have to manipulate or manufacture opportunities to stay connected. You're both moving forward, and connection becomes a byproduct of pursuing God's call together. You're not facing opposite directions, trying to convince each other to turn around. You're shoulder to shoulder, facing the same way, even when the journey gets hard. This kind of alignment doesn't mean you'll have the same job, the same ministry, or the same day-to-day routines. It's deeper than career paths or external roles. It's about values. It's about what breaks your heart and what stirs your spirit. It's about the kind of legacy you want to leave behind and realizing that side by side, your impact multiplies. And sometimes aligned purpose shows itself in how you handle the seasons where life doesn't go as planned. When dreams are delayed, when prayers seem unanswered, when doors close, the right person doesn't walk away. They don't lose sight of the bigger picture. They remind you why you started. They lift your arms when you're too tired to keep reaching. They stand in faith when your heart is full of questions. Their presence recenters you on the God who called you both in the first place. Purpose alignment is one of the clearest ways God affirms that someone is meant to walk with you, because when two lives are moving toward Him, when two hearts are burning for His kingdom, not just their own comfort, something beautiful happens. You're no longer just building a life. You're building a legacy together. When God brings the right person into your life, one of the most powerful signs is how you grow together. Not because you're forced to change or because you're pressured to become someone you're not, but because love naturally draws out the best in you. It challenges the parts of you that need refining and strengthens the parts of you that were always meant to shine. Growth in a relationship doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean having it all figured out from day one. It means being willing to step into the process together. It's the small moments where you realize they aren't trying to fix you, they're fighting for the version of you that God already sees. They speak life into your dreams when fear tries to silence them. They call out courage when insecurity whispers lies. They remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. Mutual growth means both of you are willing to be stretched. It's not just one person doing all the heavy lifting, carrying the emotional and spiritual weight alone. You both lean into the hard conversations. You both own your mistakes. You both choose humility when pride would be easier. And even when the growing pains come, because they will, you don't grow apart. You grow deeper. There's something holy about being loved by someone who sees your flaws clearly and stays anyway, not to enable you, but to journey with you toward healing. They don't weaponize your weaknesses. They cover them with grace while still calling you higher. They're not afraid to tell you the truth, even when it's hard to hear, because their goal isn't to tear you down. It's to build you up. And you do the same for them. Mutual growth also means celebrating each other's victories without competition. When they succeed, you're not threatened, you're proud. When you rise, they're not resentful, they're cheering the loudest. There's no keeping score. No silent battles over who's doing more or achieving faster. Instead, there's this deep, unspoken understanding. Your win is my win, and we are better together. It's in this kind of relationship that you realize growth isn't just about personal milestones. It's about spiritual maturity. It's about becoming more patient, more kind, more forgiving. It's about learning how to love like Christ sacrificially, consistently, joyfully. It's about seeing conflict as an opportunity to understand each other better, not a reason to give up. Over time, you'll look back and realize you're not the same person you were when you first met. Not because you lost yourself, but because you found more of yourself. And you'll see that God used the love between you not just to make life sweeter, but to make you stronger, wiser, and more like Him. Real love doesn't just make you feel good in the moment. It makes you better for the long haul. And when two people are committed to growing not just in love, but in character, faith, and purpose, that's a love that can weather any storm and stand the test of time. Real love isn't just found in grand gestures or picture-perfect moments. It's built in the quiet, unseen choices, the ones that cost something. Sacrificial love is not about losing yourself or letting someone take advantage of you. It's about laying down pride, selfishness, and fear so that the relationship can thrive the way God intended. It's about choosing to love even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard, even when there's nothing to gain except the joy of seeing someone else flourish. When God sends someone into your life, their love won't just be about what you can offer them. It won't be transactional. It won't disappear when loving you becomes a little messy or complicated. Instead, their love will look like service, the kind that says, I'm here not because it's easy, but because you're worth it. It shows up when you're sick and tired. It listens when you don't have the right words. It stays when it would be simpler to walk away. Sacrificial love means forgiving faster than your pride would like. It means giving when your heart feels tired. It means putting the other person's well-being ahead of your own comfort without keeping score. But it's not about being a martyr, it's about reflecting the heart of Christ. His love wasn't self-centered, it was self-giving. He loved not just with words, but with action. And that's what real love does too. You see it in the little moments when they choose patience over irritation, when they choose kindness over being right, when they choose to believe the best about you, even when circumstances are confusing. Sacrificial love doesn't seek to win arguments. It seeks to win hearts. It doesn't demand to be understood first. It leans in to understand. It doesn't abandon when things get complicated. It digs deeper, plants roots, and says, I'm not going anywhere. True sacrificial love also recognizes that boundaries are healthy and necessary. It's not about losing your identity or tolerating unhealthy behavior. It's about choosing daily to protect the relationship by laying aside selfishness, by considering how your actions and words impact the other person, by intentionally creating a space where trust and safety can grow. There's a cost to loving like this. There always is. But the beauty is that in giving love freely, you find a greater joy than anything self-centeredness could offer. And when two people are committed to loving each other sacrificially, it creates a foundation that isn't shaken by the storms of life. It builds resilience. It deepens trust. It turns ordinary days into holy ground. You start to realize that the real measure of love isn't how loud it shouts or how pretty it looks from the outside. It's how faithfully it shows up when no one's watching. It's how quickly it chooses grace over judgment. It's how stubbornly it holds on, not because it has to, but because it chooses to, over and over again. When it's the right person, it's not just something you feel. It's something that keeps getting confirmed in ways you can't orchestrate. God doesn't leave you alone to figure it out based on emotions or wishful thinking. He invites you into a process, a sacred, beautiful process of prayer and wise counsel, where His voice and His peace become the guide instead of your own limited understanding. When you pray about the relationship, there's a steady clarity that grows over time. It might not come all at once, but it doesn't leave you more confused the longer you stay. Instead of chaos, there's a sense of direction. Instead of constant doubt, there's a deepening confidence, even when questions arise, and your spirit keeps getting nudged toward peace, not fear. Prayer is where you lay everything down, your desires, your fears, your assumptions, and ask God to show you what you can't see on your own. And He does. Sometimes through a whisper in your spirit, a verse that jumps off the page, a sense of knowing that you can't explain. Other times He speaks through community, through the people who know you, and love God enough to tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. When the right person is in your life, those who are closest to you, those who have walked with you in faith, will often recognize it too. Not because they're trying to control your story, but because they can see what love looks like when it's real and right. Confirmation through community is one of the most underrated signs of God's hand in a relationship. It's easy to isolate yourself when you're excited about someone. It's tempting to hide the relationship from scrutiny because deep down you fear what people might say. But real love doesn't fear the light. It welcomes wisdom. It invites accountability. It values the voices of those who have already fought their own battles and carry scars that turned into wisdom. Sometimes God uses community to affirm that this relationship is life-giving, that it's producing good fruit, joy, patience, faithfulness, growth. Other times He uses them to lovingly point out red flags you might have missed. And if the relationship is truly centered in Him, you'll find that the right person won't resist those conversations. They'll honor them. They'll want the relationship to stand not just on chemistry, but on character and calling confirmed by the voices that matter most. When God is leading you, there's a beautiful harmony between your spirit, His word, and the voices of wise community. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges or questions along the way. It means that through prayer and counsel, you're not navigating it alone. You're anchored in something deeper than emotions. You're anchored in truth, in peace, and in a God who delights in giving good gifts to His children when they seek Him first. Real love isn't proven in a moment. It's proven over time. Anyone can say the right words for a little while. Anyone can show up when things are easy. But when God sends someone into your life, one of the clearest signs is consistency, the quiet, steady rhythm of someone who chooses you not just once, but over and over again. Consistency isn't flashy. It doesn't always grab your attention like grand gestures or emotional highs, but it builds something far more valuable: trust. It shows up in the patterns, not just the promises. It's how they treat you when no one's watching. It's how they follow through on the things they say, not just once, but again and again. It's how their actions line up with their words even after the excitement wears off. Time has a way of revealing what excitement can hide. Anyone can be charming at the beginning. Anyone can present their best self for a season. But real character, real loyalty, real love, those things are revealed slowly. They show up in how someone handles disappointment, how they respond to conflict, how they love you when you're not easy to love. True consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about being faithful. When God sends someone into your life, they don't just love the idea of you, they love the real you. And you see it in the way they stay consistent through all the different seasons, the highs, the lows, the uncertainties. They don't disappear when things get complicated. They don't give up when challenges come. They lean in, they stay close. They keep choosing the relationship even when it would be easier not to. And it's not just emotional consistency, it's spiritual consistency too. They're not only seeking God when life gets hard, they're committed to their own walk with Him day after day. They're growing, maturing, becoming more anchored in faith, not just for you, but for themselves. And that kind of spiritual stability creates a foundation that's strong enough to build a future on. Consistency over time allows love to be tested and proven. It gives space for trust to grow slowly, deeply, without fear of it being yanked away at the first sign of trouble. It's in this steady, faithful love that real intimacy is built, not the shallow kind that depends on mood swings, but the deep kind that endures storms and grows stronger because of them. In a world that celebrates instant gratification and quick fixes, consistency feels rare. But that's exactly why it's so powerful. When you find someone whose actions, words, and heart remain steady over time, it's a reflection of the very nature of God, who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Love that's rooted in consistency doesn't just survive, it thrives. It builds a history together, 1,000 small moments stacked on top of each other that whisper, "You can trust me. I'm still here. I'm still choosing you." And that kind of love, the kind that stands the test of time, is a love worth holding on to with everything you have. At the end of the day, when God sends someone to be your life partner, it won't just be one thing that confirms it. It will be the way peace settles deep in your soul, the way your purposes start aligning without force, the way you both grow stronger in character and faith, the way love shows up sacrificially even when it's costly, the way prayer and community keep pointing back to the same answer, and the way consistency over time proves what words alone could never guarantee. God's hand leaves fingerprints all over a relationship meant for His glory. It won't be perfect and it won't always be easy, but it will be marked by a love that draws you closer to Him, not further away. A love that stretches you, strengthens you, and teaches you more about His heart than you ever could have known alone. If you're in a season of waiting, don't rush it. If you're discerning, don't panic. God isn't trying to confuse you, He's trying to prepare you. Trust that when the right person comes, it won't just feel good. It will bear good fruit. It will look like His love. And it will echo His voice whispering, "This is the one I have prepared for you. Walk with them in peace."